Week 3 in the NFL kicks off with an AFC North battle between the Steelers and Browns. Both coming off disappointing losses, but for the time being, the winner of this game is going to be alone in first place. Pittsburgh followed up their opening game upset against the Bengals with a lackluster home loss to the Patriots. They don't have TJ Watt, they weren't able to get pressure on Mac Jones, and they weren't able to score. The offense failed to reach the 250-yard mark in a 17-14 defeat.
We can be better at everything. I can be better with decision-making. We had some missed opportunities, some missed throws. Bottom line, we got to score more points.
But it could be worse. You could be the Browns, who somehow blew a 13-point lead in the final 2 minutes against Joe Flacco's Jets, thanks to a comedy of errors.
Everybody's going to want to point fingers, put it on everybody. It's all of us. What we can't do is let this linger.
Both teams dealing with quarterback situations, though they're very different situations. The Browns trying to stay afloat during Deshaun Watson's 11-game suspension. The Steelers might eventually turn to rookie Kenny Pickett.
We own our mistakes. We realize that we got to get better. That's a collective, not just a quarterback position.
Steelers and Browns, Thursday night to kick off Week 3.
Now, what a game this is going to be. I mean, it looked like, when you look at the schedule, that it could be like a huge game, certainly for the division, the AFC North.
You would have thought initially.
The Cleveland Browns situation. I mean, both teams sitting at 1-1. I mean, both teams have more wins than the Cincinnati Bengals. So that's great.
Loss to the Jets.
Coming off a loss to the Jets, though, yeah. 31-30, that was a tough one.
One
of those.
Or do you have a little Danny Cannell hangover?
Well, we talk about those wild first couple of weeks, and that's certainly part of it. 31-30 loss versus the Jets for the Browns coming into this week. All right, let's welcome in our Jon Berger. Through the first 2 weeks, Jon, I got to ask you to start. How's your role holding up?
My role? My bankroll? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
It's good, man. You threw me off just right there because I haven't seen you in 2 weeks. So I was actually going to call you because I honestly thought we said something or I said something 2 weeks ago that made you upset and you begged off some of these shows. But it's good to see you, man. The role's going good. The college role is going really good.
Yeah.
The NFL role could use some work. So that's why we're here.
Yep.
So let's get busy here and get moving on this. But it's good to see you, man.
It's good to see you too, Jon. Nothing but love for you, my friend. Hey, two teams that are not scoring at a prolific rate. When we talk about Pittsburgh and Cleveland, Pittsburgh has 3 times more field goals made than offensive touchdowns scored. Cleveland has double the amount of rushing touchdowns versus the passing touchdowns. I mean, so when you look at all that, what's your best bet for the first scoring play in tonight's game?
I think you've got to look at 2 things, and I'll give you the answer first, and then I'll kind of give you the walk-up to why I did that. I'm going to take Cleveland scores a touchdown early in this game. And so I thought about it from 2 different perspectives. First of all, I don't think Cleveland's going to be playing catch-up, and I don't think either team's going to be playing catch-up in this game. I think this is going to be a slugfest. If you look at Pittsburgh, offensively, they're not really being able to push the ball down the field with Trubisky. You look at Kenny Pickett, you wonder when he's going to show up. So I think Pittsburgh's going to run the ball. You flip over to Cleveland, you look at their play selection in the first quarter. They've run 34 first quarter plays this year. 32 of those are either run plays or short passes. So I think they're going to line up. I think they're going to run the football right at this Pittsburgh defense. And the other thing, Jeremy, is they're going to play with pace. If you look at their get in, get out of the huddle, get the play called kind of timing, they're going to play with pace. I think with a short week, you're going to have to run the football, and I think they're going to be successful at that the first couple drives. But I'm going to pick Cleveland to score first in this game. I think it's going to be a touchdown, and I think it's going to be behind that ground attack.
All right. Well, I mean, Nick Chubb's been doing well. Kareem Hunt, of course, has done well as well for Cleveland as they enter this game. In terms of touchdowns, so, Jon, let's talk about TDs. Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, Donovan Peoples-Jones, David Njoku, all players who have yet to score a touchdown this season. Now, are one of those guys someone that you'd bet on to score the first touchdown tonight, which you had just discussed?
I think Chubb scores it. You brought up Deontay Johnson, and we'll get to that later on the show because I think he also scores. But I think they line up, like I said before, I think they're going to run right at this defense with pace. And they're going to force Pittsburgh up to put the 8th guy in the box, and they're going to see how they react to that. Pittsburgh hasn't been great defensively. I think Cleveland right now feels confident in their ground attack. But if I had to put money on it, which I did, I'm going to put Chubb to make that first score.
Yeah, Chubb, you see him at plus 310 there for him. And, I mean, the opponent, Pittsburgh, the projected fantasy point, you see at 15.3. He's 100% rostered, 99% start. I mean, he's just a guy you got to have in your lineup as you take a look at our fantasy guys who have him ranked as a must-start. Certainly this week, put him in your DFS lineups as well. Okay, so John, what's your best bet for a player to score at any time in terms of a touchdown in this game?
I think it's Deontay Johnson. You brought it up kind of in the intro to this last piece. Keep in mind, and I talked about it right off the top, Pittsburgh is not getting the ball down the field. And that, in the NFL, you've got to be able to stretch defenses. Trubisky's not getting it done. The offense is not exactly clicking right now. As I said before, you wonder at what point they go to Kenny Pickett. This is a guy coming out of the University of Pittsburgh that can push the ball down the field. But I think Pittsburgh at some point is going to have to make a big play. And if you're going to make a big play downfield in the passing game, that's Deontay Johnson. They've targeted him they've thrown 16 balls so far, deep balls this season. 7 of those have been targeted at him. So I think they're going to need a big play. I think this is going to be a slugfest, and I think they're going to have to target him several times during this game, and I think he comes up with a big play and scores a touchdown here.
Well, Deontay Johnson, certainly a guy with some focus. Earlier this week, rookie wide receiver George Pickens for the Steelers said he was open 90% of the time against New England. Perhaps a little shot at his quarterback Mitchell Trubisky there. In the preseason, John...
Jeremy, every wide receiver is open 90% of the time. Everyone.
In the preseason, though,
That's the way it
John,
worked.
I mean, Pickens was an
Go
animal.
ask Danny Cannell and every quarterback we got in the building. They're all open, dude.
Yeah.
They're all open.
Usually, though, when a guy speaks up, John, he gets something out of it. So Pickens with his total tonight, 29.5 yards. I'd like him to go over that total, but that's me. What the hell do I know? Who do you like to go over their total tonight?
I'm looking at Kareem Hunt. You look at him, because it's a short week, right? I think they're going to have to maybe limit a little bit the load for Chubb. And at 42.5, that's where it was sitting at a day or two ago. I think he's going to get enough carries to get over that. I mean, that number is set right at his average at the moment. I just think because it's a short week, because they're going to have to rely on that offensive line to get a push up front and that ground attack to win the game, I just think that's a good number and some good value there. It's sitting at 42.5. I'm going to take the over in that situation.
John, I have a couple of things for tonight's game. One of those is Najee Harris going under his 54.5 yard prop. Who do you like to go under their total?
I think Trubisky throwing the football, as we talked about kind of coming off the top. I think we're sitting right at 207, 208 yards. They're just struggling offensively. And to get up to that kind of number, first of all, they're going to have to put the ball downfield. They're going to have to do it in the heart of that Cleveland defense. They haven't shown that they can do that. Maybe that changes tonight. But again, I think their game plan, they're going to be running the football. They're going to try to control the clock. I just don't know how many big opportunities Trubisky's going to have to get the ball downfield. And if he does, can he convert? So again, this is a value play for me, just a pure odds play for me. When I look at that number and I look at his averages, and I look at that offense and what they're going to try to do tonight, I just like this situation. I think you take the under on that kind of number.
Well, certainly Trubisky under a lot of pressure these past couple of weeks. And you mentioned Kenny Pickett. I mean, a lot of people starting to ask a question. Certainly if it happens again this week and he comes under that total and the Steelers lose, it could be a situation where Kenny Pickett's name is certainly starting to be heard more and more about getting him into this Pittsburgh
you're
offense.
paying a lot of money to a first-round draft pick to sit over there on the sideline.
Yeah, break glass when ready. You know, John, that I love a good parlay. You've always got good ones. It's even better when it cashes. You usually get good value for us here. So give us your same-game parlay to lock in right now.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lock in with the parlay that Cleveland covers these points. I think it's going to be a stretch. That's the part of the parlay that worries me a little bit. But I think then you roll up with taking Kareem Hunt on the over in terms of rushing. And you take Trubisky on the under. I like that kind of sitting right here in this situation in terms of the parlay. This is going to be a little bit difficult one because you just know, you look at the over-under in this situation, nobody thinks this is going to be kind of an offensive explosion. But I think as parlays goes, that's one that I think makes some sense there.
Plus 430. I mean, you bet 100, you win 430 on top of that. It's a good one, John.
It's not plus 16,000, which we do on the college side of the business, but for one game, it's okay, buddy.
Well, those college ones, I mean, you're giving us like these 10-team parlays, so they're crazy. They're going to cash out huge when you give us those kind of parlays.
Yeah, last week we had one that was $25 that would have paid out $62,000.
Oh my goodness!
$25 bet. It was awesome.
You're going after those big time upsets. John, the Vegas line opened with Cleveland as a 3.5-point favorites. That jumped a point, but is now dropped back down to 4. The total has also come down as well. What's your play on the game as a whole?
I think the safe play, I would take Cleveland to cover those on a small bet. I think the safer play, if you want to put a little bit more money on the top of that and kind of create a swim lane and hedge your bet, is to take the over. I picked it up right around 38.5, I think. That's not a lot of points in an NFL game. And again, I think both offenses have playmakers on the perimeter that can score points and get over that 40 mark. The question is how successful is the ground attack going to be? And if it bogs down, which team's going to be able to push the ball downfield? That's the biggest question for me. But 38.5 feels very low for this kind of talent on the field. I'm going to take the over in this situation.
All right, so John's expecting a shootout. John, the under has cashed on 68% of the game so far. That's the highest total since week 2 of 1996. But you're pushing for the over.
Pushing for the over.
He is wagering analyst Jon Berger, giving us his Thursday night picks as the Steelers and Browns clash in a pivotal AFC North battle. Let's recap John's plays in terms of that first scoring play. A Browns touchdown is what he says at plus 145. Nick Chubb to score the first touchdown. Deontay Johnson to get a touchdown anytime in this game. They need to get him going to the Steelers. Kareem Hunt to go over his rushing yards. Mitchell Trubisky to go under passing yards. And John says, take the over. 38.5. He's expecting points in this game.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.